Take a moment to pause and listen to yourself. Have you ever felt like your mind was a waterfall, endlessly rushing down with no stopping point? Maybe it was when you had just laid down in bed, but your thoughts jumped from work stress, to unpaid bills, to an unfinished conversation. In modern American society, where speed and pressure surround us, it is so easy to get trapped in the whirlpool of overthinking. But the good news is that there is a way out of that cycle. Buddhism, with more than 2,500 years of wisdom, is not just distant philosophy, but practical tools to help modern people find peace. The Buddha once taught, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, focus the mind on the present moment." These words, though spoken long ago, echo powerfully in the fast-paced life we live today. In this video, we will explore 6 Buddhist lessons, precious gems of wisdom that can help you stop overthinking and discover inner calm. From simple mindfulness practices to the power of compassion, each lesson opens a new perspective, a specific method to guide you back to the peace that has always been within you. Picture this. You are sitting under the golden light of sunset in Yosemite Park, surrounded by quiet trees, the gentle wind softly stirring the leaves. Instead of letting your mind wander through endless worries, you simply breathe, simply be present. That is the beginning of peace, and that is the journey we are about to take together. If you have ever longed for a calm mind and a light heart, then this video is for you. By the end, you will hold in your hands 6 simple yet powerful lessons, not only to free yourself from overthinking, but also to cultivate a life of freedom and deep peace. Lesson 1. Living in the present moment, mindfulness. Imagine yourself walking through Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. The morning light filters through the trees, birds are singing, and a cool breeze brushes against your skin. Yet instead of enjoying that moment, your mind drifts away to tomorrow's stressful meeting, to unanswered messages, to financial worries. You are physically there, but your spirit is trapped somewhere else. This is the condition that millions of Americans face every single day, not living in the present moment. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha taught, "A practitioner, mindful of body, of feelings, of mind, and of phenomena, lives diligent, aware, and mindful, in order to overcome greed and sorrow in the world." This teaching reminds us that peace does not exist in the past or in the future. It can only be found in the present moment. A well-known study from Harvard University in 2010, conducted by scientists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert, revealed that people spend, on average, 47% of their time thinking about things unrelated to the present moment. The result was clear. When the mind wanders, people tend to feel less happy, no matter what they are doing. In other words, this constant distraction not only makes us miss the beauty around us, it directly reduces the quality of our lives. Buddhism offers a way out of this cycle through mindfulness. Mindfulness is not an abstract idea, it is very practical. It is the ability to clearly notice what is happening right now in your body, in your emotions, in your thoughts, and in your surroundings. It is like switching from autopilot mode to fully conscious driving. Think about your morning coffee. Normally, you hold the cup and drink while checking emails and running through your schedule. But if you stop and truly notice the aroma, the warmth in your hands, the gentle bitterness blending with sweetness, that is a simple exercise in mindfulness. Mindfulness does not require you to become a monk or to meditate for hours every day. It begins with the smallest actions. For example, when you notice your mind running toward the past or worrying about the future, just pause, take a slow, deep breath in, and gently exhale. Even 5 breaths like that are enough to bring you back into the present. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "True happiness can only be found in the present moment. If you lose the present, you lose your life." This is not only a philosophy, it is an urgent reminder for our modern world. Let us return to the image of San Francisco. When you are truly present, feeling the breeze on your skin, hearing the rustle of leaves, seeing the sunlight streaming through the trees, you discover a natural peace that does not come from achievements or possessions, but from simply being there fully. The benefits of mindfulness are also strongly supported by science. Many medical studies show that mindfulness meditation reduces stress, improves sleep, increases concentration, and even slows cellular aging. A study from the University of Massachusetts demonstrated that just 8 weeks of mindfulness practice significantly lowered stress levels while strengthening the immune system. You can start with very simple practices. Mindful walking. Instead of walking while lost in thought, focus on each step, the feeling of your feet touching the ground. Mindful eating. Savor each bite, notice the flavors, rather than rushing through the meal. Mindful listening. When someone speaks, truly listen without judgment and without preparing your response in advance. An important part of mindfulness is non-judgment. When you sit down to meditate and notice your mind filled with thoughts, do not scold yourself by saying, "Why can I not concentrate?" Simply acknowledge, "Oh, I am thinking." Then gently guide your attention back to your breath. In today's world of constant notifications and digital distractions, mindfulness acts like an anchor that prevents us from being swept away. It shows us that peace does not mean eliminating all thoughts, but learning not to be enslaved by them. And you can try it right now. Let us take a deep breath together. Hold it for 3 seconds, then slowly exhale. Repeat this 4 more times. As you do, notice the air flowing in and out. You may realize that after only a few breaths, your mind already feels lighter. The wonderful thing about mindfulness is that you do not need a special place or a long period of time. You can practice it right in the rhythm of daily life. When you wash the dishes, feel the warm water flowing across your hands. When you drive, notice the steering wheel, notice your breath, instead of letting your mind get pulled into unfinished conversations. Let me share a small story. There was a man in Seattle who was often anxious. Every day he rode the subway to work, but his mind was crowded with scenarios of all the terrible things that could happen. After joining a mindfulness meditation course, he began to simply observe his morning commute. For the first time in years, he noticed the sunlight reflecting on the water, the smile of a baby in the train car. Those small moments made him realize that the world was not as dark as his mind had painted it. Mindfulness is like putting on a new pair of glasses. It does not change the outside world, but it changes the way you see it. A mind full of anxiety can turn even a beautiful day into a burden. But a mind that is awake and present can turn the simplest tasks into opportunities to save a life. Remember, the goal of mindfulness is not to eliminate thoughts. The human mind naturally creates thoughts, just as the heart naturally beats. The goal is to see those thoughts come and go without being swept away. When you sit in meditation, there will be times when your mind keeps wandering. That does not mean you have failed. In fact, every time you notice your mind drifting and gently return to the breath, that is a successful moment of practice. Science also supports this truth. A study from the University of California found that mindfulness practice reduces activity in the parts of the brain connected to guilt and anxiety. In other words, by returning to the present, we are retraining the brain to step out of the cycle of negative thinking. You can begin today with a small challenge. Every time you hear your phone ring, instead of rushing to answer, take one deep breath. That is a free, mindful moment gifted to you in the middle of a busy day. Imagine if you collected 5, 10, or 15 such moments every day. How would your mind begin to change after a month or a year? You would find yourself less pulled into the past and the future, and with more inner space to truly enjoy the present. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "When you drink tea, just drink tea. When you wash the dishes, just wash the dishes. When you walk, just walk." That is the spirit of mindfulness, doing anything with your full presence. So let us begin the journey of mindfulness today. Choose one simple activity, drinking your morning coffee, walking around your home, or listening to the birds, and give it 5 minutes of your complete attention. It does not need to be complicated. It only needs your presence. You will soon realize that peace is not somewhere far away. It is right here, in this breath, in this very moment. And as you learn to live in the present, the spiral of overthinking will slowly dissolve, making room for a deeper stillness. Lesson 2. Letting go of attachment to the self, non-self. Think about a day when you arrive at the office. On your desk there are stacks of files, an overflowing inbox, and in your mind echoes the familiar questions. Do my colleagues think I am good enough? Is my boss satisfied with me? These thoughts are more than simple worries. They come from something deeper, attachment to the self. In the Vajrakedika Sutra, also known as the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha taught, all phenomena are impermanent and without a permanent self. At first, this may sound abstract, but it is very close to our daily lives. When we believe we are a fixed self, that we must succeed, that we must be recognized, then any criticism or failure feels like a threat, and the mind begins to spin with overthinking. Let us meet Sarah, an office worker in New York. She often lost sleep because she feared her colleagues did not like her, or because of a single critical comment from her manager. But when Sarah joined a meditation course, she learned something important. Those thoughts did not define who she was. She began to practice letting go of her ego and discovered that happiness did not depend on the opinions of others. A 2018 study from Stanford University showed that people who were less attached to their ego experienced 30% lower stress levels. When we are not clinging to ideas like, I must be this or I must have that, the mind naturally feels lighter. You can try a simple exercise. Write down one worry you are holding on to, then ask yourself, will this still matter 5 years from now? Most of the time, the answer is no. That is when you realize you have given too much power to your ego. In modern American life, where competition is strong, we are often taught that self-worth depends on achievements, job titles, salaries, or the number of followers on social media. But Buddhism reminds us that our true value does not lie in external labels. It lives in our awareness and compassion within. Letting go of attachment does not mean giving up on your goals or ignoring life. It means working with your whole heart, but not letting your ego decide your worth. You can strive for success, but you do not need to equate success with I am valuable only if I achieve. Here is another example. Imagine you are in a big meeting. Instead of thinking, I must sound smart so people will notice me, you shift your perspective. I will listen carefully and contribute something useful, no matter what others think. This approach not only makes you freer, it also makes your presence more authentic. In meditation practice, there is a method called contemplation of non-self. As you sit quietly, you observe thoughts coming and going, and you realize, thoughts are not me, emotions are not me. They are simply passing phenomena, rising and fading. Once you see this clearly, you no longer have to fight with every thought, because you understand they do not define you. There is a Zen story about a master who was insulted by someone. A student asked, "Master, why are you not angry?" The master smiled and said, "When someone offers you a gift, if you do not accept it, it still belongs to them. Insults are the same. If you do not receive them into your ego, they cannot harm you." And this is the secret to escaping the spiral of overthinking. The less you identify with your ego, the less you are controlled by judgments, failures, or praise. Another practice is to take one moment each day to remind yourself, I am not only the roles that society assigns to me. You may be an employee, a parent, a child, or a friend. But more deeply, you are a human being living, breathing, capable of love. This awareness eases the pressure of constantly having to become someone. When you let go of attachment to the self, you do not lose yourself. On the contrary, you become freer to live with authenticity, and that freedom is the medicine that heals the habit of overthinking. There is a common misunderstanding that if you let go of the ego, you will become weak or lose motivation. But in reality, the opposite is true. When you are no longer tied down by, "I must prove myself," or "I must be praised," you actually have more energy to work with freedom and creativity. Look at the artists, scientists, or leaders who have left a lasting mark. They often created their greatest work when they forgot themselves and fully immersed in the task at hand. Modern psychology calls this state flow, a current in which you give your all, yet are not obsessed with the outcome. And this is the very spirit of non-self in Buddhism. Take an everyday example, cooking a meal for your family. If your mind clings to the thought, "I must cook perfectly so others will praise me," you will feel anxious and tense. But if you focus only on each movement, chopping the vegetables, adding the spices, arranging the dishes, the act of cooking becomes a peaceful experience. The result may be delicious or not, but you have lived fully in that moment. A 2020 study from the University of Michigan found that people who were less attached to external achievements had 25% higher life satisfaction. When they did not need to compare themselves to others, they had fewer negative thoughts and found it easier to feel happy. In daily practice, you can try the method of looking beyond the self. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, "Am I exaggerating this problem just because I think it threatens my self-worth?" If the answer is yes, try loosening your grip. Recognize that you are only a small part of the larger picture of life and that nothing lasts forever. Zen master Shunryu Suzuki, author of Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, once said, "When you let go of the idea of self, you become as open as the sky. The sky does not cling to a single cloud, and because of that, it is vast." In the same way, when we are no longer bound by ego, we become truly free. Here is a simple exercise to close. Close your eyes for 1 minute. Imagine setting down all your labels, your job, your age, your roles, your accomplishments. All that remains is your breath and your life. That feeling of lightness is a glimpse of the power of non-self. When you practice letting go of attachment each day, you will notice that overthinking slowly fades away. Instead of being trapped in the obsession of "I must," you begin to live in the freedom of "I am," and within that freedom, peace begins to bloom. Lesson 3. Understanding Karma. Have you ever laid down at night and found your mind spinning with questions? Will tomorrow go smoothly? What will people think of me? What terrible thing might happen? We often worry about things beyond our control, and this is one of the roots of overthinking. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha taught, "Karma is intentional action. Human beings are the owners of their karma, the heirs of their karma." This means that what we do with a mindful heart is what truly shapes the future, not our fears or imagined scenarios. Karma is not a fixed destiny. Karma is simply action and the result of action. If you plant good seeds, sweet fruit will follow. If you plant harmful seeds, bitter fruit will come. But here is the key. You only have control over the action in the present moment, not the outcome. Consider John, a teacher in Chicago. He often worried that his students did not like him, that he was not inspiring enough. But then John learned about the Buddhist teaching of karma. He realized that worrying did not change how his students felt. The only thing he could control was to teach sincerely, prepare his lessons well, and let the results unfold naturally. With this new perspective, John felt much lighter. A 2019 study from the University of California found that people who focused on their actions rather than obsessing over outcomes experienced 25% lower levels of anxiety. This matches perfectly with Buddhist wisdom. When you put your full energy into this moment, you are no longer crushed by the past or haunted by the future. You can try a small practice today. Choose one simple act, such as smiling at a stranger, helping a co-worker with something small, or calling a family member just to check in. Do it without expecting anything in return. Let the good action shine on its own. In that moment, you are planting positive karma without the stress of outcomes. Buddhism often uses the image of a gardener. The gardener can plant seeds, water them, and tend to them, but he cannot command the seed to sprout instantly or force it to grow in a certain way. The result depends on many conditions: weather, soil, sunlight beyond his control. His only task is to care for the present moment, and so it is with us. This understanding greatly reduces overthinking. When you accept that you cannot control results, you stop obsessing over worst-case scenarios. You simply focus on doing what is right, here and now. There is a story where a disciple said to the Buddha, "I am afraid my efforts will never bring results." The Buddha replied, "A seed planted in the earth, if cared for, will surely sprout. But no one knows exactly when. Your task is to plant and nurture, not to force the seed to grow." In American society, where pressure to succeed and constant comparison are everywhere, the lesson of karma is especially powerful. We are often obsessed with grades, job titles, or the number of likes on social media, but those things are merely the fruit. If we cling too tightly to them, we get trapped in endless overthinking. Instead, ask yourself, what good seed can I plant today? It might be patience in a heated discussion, kindness toward a coworker, or simply bringing full attention to your work rather than letting your mind wander. These small seeds are what truly shape your future. The important thing to remember is this: karma is not a chain that binds you. It is an opportunity to create positive change in this very moment. When you understand this, your mind will stop wasting energy on fruitless calculations, and you will live with more freedom. There is one habit that steals peace from many people: holding tightly to the past. We often think, if only I had not said that, if only I had acted differently. But in the teaching of karma, the Buddha reminds us that the past is gone and cannot be changed. The only thing we can do is learn from it and plant new seeds in the present. Imagine you once made a mistake at work, maybe a failed project or a poor decision. If you continue to torment yourself, you only plant more seeds of anxiety. But if you learn the lesson and apply that wisdom to your actions today, you are planting new seeds that can bear sweet fruit in the future. One of the greatest powers of understanding karma is that it helps us let go of the obsession with controlling outcomes. So many factors in life, weather, the economy, even the reactions of other people, are beyond our control. When you accept this, you release a heavy burden. All you need to do is focus on doing your part with sincerity. Think of an athlete who trains every day. He cannot guarantee that he will always win, but he can guarantee that he has given his best effort in training. Victory or defeat is simply the fruit. Effort is the karma he has planted. Practicing the understanding of karma also makes us more compassionate toward others. When you see someone acting negatively instead of harsh criticism, you might think, they are acting from the seeds of their past. I have been like that too. I can choose to plant different seeds. This attitude does not mean tolerating wrongdoing, but it keeps us from adding more fuel to the fire with anger. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "A seed of anger sown will grow into suffering. A seed of compassion sown will grow into happiness." This reminder brings us back to our choice. Every thought, every word, every action is a seed. And today, you can choose which seeds you plant. Here is a small practice. Tonight, before you go to sleep, write down 3 positive seeds you planted during the day. It could be a smile, a kind act of help, or simply a gentle thought. Looking back, you will see that you have the power to create a peaceful future through what you do today. And when you truly absorb this lesson of karma, overthinking begins to fade. Because instead of worrying about what has not yet happened, you focus on what you can do right now. That is the path that leads to peace and inner freedom. Lesson 4. Compassion. Think about the last time you blamed yourself for a small mistake. Maybe you forgot an appointment, burned dinner, or said something unkind. Your mind probably replayed that moment over and over, leaving you tense and anxious. This is a form of overthinking, and its root often lies in a lack of compassion for yourself. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha taught, just as a mother would protect her only child with her very life, so cultivate a boundless heart of compassion toward all beings. This teaching is not only about loving others, it also includes treating yourself with kindness. Compassion, or metta, is the ability to open your heart and see others and yourself with empathy, without judgment. When compassion is missing, the mind easily falls into cycles of criticism, comparison, and self-blame. On the other hand, when compassion is present, thoughts become lighter and peace naturally arises. Let us meet Lisa, a nurse in Texas. Her work is stressful, long shifts, patients in pain, pressure from colleagues. Lisa often carried this tension home, blaming herself for not being dedicated enough, not being good enough. But then she began practicing loving-kindness meditation. Each night, she sat quietly and whispered, "May I be at peace, may I be healthy, may I be happy." Then she extended those wishes to her patients, her co-workers, and even to people who upset her. Amazingly, after only a few weeks, Lisa's mind felt lighter, and her sleep became deeper. A 2013 study from the University of Wisconsin showed that loving-kindness meditation increased happiness by as much as 20%, while significantly reducing signs of depression and anxiety. Modern science is confirming what the Buddha taught more than 2,500 years ago. Compassion is medicine for the soul. You can try a short loving-kindness practice right now. Sit quietly and take a deep breath. As you exhale, whisper in your mind, "May I be at peace." Repeat it several times. Then think of a loved one and say, "May you be at peace." Gradually extend it to friends, co-workers, and even someone you do not get along with. Each wish is a seed of compassion planted in your heart. When we practice in this way, the spiral of negative thinking begins to dissolve. Instead of endlessly replaying mistakes, we learn to forgive ourselves. Instead of judging others, we learn to empathize. This shift brings enormous relief to the mind. There is a Zen story about a monk who carried a small bowl. Whenever someone insulted him, he did not react. Instead, he quietly placed a grain of rice in the bowl. At the end of the day, he looked at the bowl and said, "May they be at peace." This practice kept him from being trapped in anger or revenge. He only planted more compassion. In today's American society, where many people feel lonely and stressed, compassion is more essential than ever. It not only soothes the mind, but also connects us to one another. When you send a wish of peace to someone else, you are also healing yourself. And most importantly, compassion begins with you. If you cannot love yourself, it is difficult to truly love others. So whenever your mind gets caught in negative thoughts, pause and say, "I am worthy of love and peace too." That is the key to stepping out of the spiral of overthinking. The important thing to remember is that compassion is not weakness or permissiveness. Many people worry that if they are too compassionate, others will take advantage of them. But Buddhism teaches that compassion always walks hand in hand with wisdom. A compassionate heart knows how to set healthy boundaries, knows how to say no when necessary, while still keeping warmth and understanding. Imagine you have a friend who often complains and unloads anger onto you. Without compassion, you might either get angry or completely avoid them. But with compassion, you can listen without getting caught in their emotions. You might say, "I understand you are suffering, but I also need space to keep my own peace." That is compassion both for others and for yourself. Another benefit of cultivating compassion is that it reduces loneliness. A 2015 study from Stanford University found that loving-kindness meditation helps people feel more connected to their community, even when they are physically alone. Because when we send wishes of peace to others, we recognize that we are part of a vast human network, never truly separate. In daily life, you can plant seeds of compassion through very small actions. Smiling at the cashier when you shop, sending a thank you message to a coworker, forgiving yourself for a small mistake. These actions may not change the entire world, but they will certainly change your inner world. Here is another story. A young boy in California once joined a school program to practice loving-kindness meditation. At first, he often fought with his classmates, but after a few months of practice, his teacher noticed he began to share his lunch and comfort friends when they were sad. When asked why, he simply answered, "Because I want everyone to be as happy as I am." His response reminds us that compassion is a seed already within each of us. It only needs to be nurtured. When you practice compassion regularly, the spiral of overthinking begins to quiet down. Instead of blaming yourself or judging others, you learn to look with eyes of empathy. And when the heart opens, the mind naturally finds peace. Here is one final exercise to try tonight. Before going to sleep, close your eyes and silently repeat, "May I be at peace. May my loved ones be at peace. May all beings be at peace." Let these wishes become the soft pillow that carries you into rest. Compassion is not something distant. It is a daily practice, expressed in the smallest actions. And when you live with compassion, you not only heal yourself, but you also become a source of peace for everyone around you. Lesson 5. Embracing impermanence. Imagine standing on a beach in Los Angeles. The waves crash onto the shore, each one rising and then fading away. You can clearly see that no wave lasts forever. It comes, it goes, and another wave is born. Our lives are the same. Everything changes and nothing stays the same. This is the truth of impermanence, or anicca. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha taught, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. When one sees impermanence clearly, clinging begins to fade. And when clinging fades, the mind finds peace. Yet so often we suffer because we try to hold on to what cannot be held. Think of Mike, a businessman in Los Angeles. He spent his whole life building his company, always afraid that failure would take everything away. That fear kept him awake at night, endlessly overthinking the future. But when Mike learned about impermanence, he realized, even when the company prospers, it will eventually change. Even when success comes, it too will pass. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, he began to focus on what he could do today, leading with integrity, caring for his employees, and spending time with his family. A 2020 study from the University of Michigan showed that people who accepted change experienced 28% lower stress levels compared to those who resisted it. In other words, peace does not come from blocking impermanence. Peace comes from living in harmony with it. We can observe impermanence everywhere. Spring turns into summer, then autumn, then winter. A flower blossoms, and then it wilts. Our bodies change every day, from our hair to each tiny cell. When we accept this truth, we stop obsessing over the thought, "How can I make this last forever?" Instead, we learn to cherish the moment we have now. Try a small practice. Sit quietly and observe your breath. Inhale a beginning, exhale an ending. Each breath is unique, never the same as the last. This is a living reminder of impermanence within your own body. Many Americans face anxiety about aging. They see wrinkles forming, hair turning gray, and the mind begins to worry. I am losing my youth. I am losing my value. But Buddhism reminds us, change is not loss. It is simply a natural part of life. A sunset is no less beautiful than a sunrise. It is just another form of beauty. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once said, "Impermanence is not an idea to be feared. Impermanence is a reminder that we must live more deeply, love more fully, and treasure each moment we are given." If you have ever experienced loss, a relationship ending, the death of a loved one, or a dream that did not come true, you have felt impermanence deeply. At first, the pain may feel overwhelming, but over time, you realize that the heart learns how to heal and life continues to flow. This does not mean you forget. It means you learn how to live with the change. A beautiful metaphor for impermanence is the image of a cloud. A cloud can transform into rain, into snow, into a river, or disappear into the open sky. But it never truly vanishes, it only changes form. Life is the same. Every ending is also the beginning of something new. When you truly understand this, your mind feels lighter. You no longer spend hours thinking, how can I keep things exactly as they are? Instead, you feel gratitude for having experienced them at all, and that gratitude becomes the key that opens the door to peace. There is something important to remember. Accepting impermanence does not mean giving up or becoming passive. On the contrary, it helps us treasure what we have more deeply. When you know that a flower will wither, you look at it more closely. When you know that time with loved ones is limited, you love more fully and show up more completely. A 2016 study from Yale University showed that people who embraced change tended to experience higher life satisfaction, and they adapted more effectively when facing challenges. This confirms that impermanence, when seen with mindfulness, can become a source of strength. You can practice with a simple exercise. Watch a cloud or a leaf. Notice that it will change, that it will fade. Then turn back to your own life and quietly say, everything is like this, and that is all right. This practice softens the mind, making it less rigid when facing change. Here is a story from daily life. A woman in San Diego lost her husband in an accident. At first, she drowned in grief and felt that her life had collapsed. But when she attended a meditation retreat, she heard the teaching on impermanence. She realized that her husband's love had not disappeared. It had transformed into memory, into strength that supported her each day. With this realization, she found peace again and continued living fully. Impermanence is also a reminder to release excessive control. We cannot keep our children small forever. We cannot hold on to youth. We cannot force relationships to remain the same as when they first began. But we can love in every stage, and that flexibility brings freedom. Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh once wrote, "Because of impermanence, everything is possible. Without impermanence, a baby would never grow up, a seed would never sprout, and pain would never fade away." This is a hopeful perspective. Impermanence does not only take, it also gives. Try this challenge. Today, when you notice a beautiful moment, the glow of sunset, the laughter of your child, or a single flower by the road, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself, this moment will pass, so I will cherish it completely. As you grow familiar with this practice, you will find overthinking beginning to ease. Instead of worrying about what you might lose, you focus on what is here now, and within that presence, peace blossoms. Lesson 6. Meditation for a calm mind. Imagine a quiet morning in Seattle. The sky is still soft with mist, and a small house glows with warm golden light. Emily, a young mother, sits down on her meditation cushion in the living room. Outside, her children are still asleep. She closes her eyes, places her hands on her knees, and begins to follow her breath. Just 10 minutes, yet it is a precious time that helps her find peace in the middle of family worries. In the Anapanasati Sutta, the Buddha taught, when breathing in, know that you are breathing in. When breathing out, know that you are breathing out. So simple, yet this practice has helped millions of people break free from endless spirals of thought. Meditation is not about forcing the mind to become empty. It is the practice of observing thoughts, letting them come and go without clinging to them. You can imagine the mind as the sky. Thoughts and emotions are like clouds passing through. Some are dark, some are bright, but the sky itself remains vast and peaceful. Modern science has confirmed the power of meditation. A 2017 study from Yale University showed that meditation reduces activity in the parts of the brain linked to anxiety and repetitive thinking. Another study from Harvard demonstrated that regular mindfulness meditation can increase gray matter in areas of the brain related to learning, memory, and emotional regulation. This means that meditation not only brings immediate calm, but also changes the brain's structure to support long-term well-being. You can begin meditation with a very simple practice. 1. Find a quiet space. 2. Sit with your back straight and shoulders relaxed. 3. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. 4. When your mind wanders, gently return your attention to the breath without judgment. Even 5 minutes a day can make a difference. Emily, who once worried constantly about her children's future, discovered that after a few weeks of 10-minute sessions each morning, she was no longer overthinking as much. Her mind became clearer, and worries that once consumed her now passed like fleeting clouds. There is a Zen story about a student who asked his master, "What should I do in meditation when my mind is full of thoughts?" The master replied, "Let them be like birds flying across the sky. Do not chase them and do not drive them away. Simply sit and breathe." The interesting thing is that when you first sit down to meditate, the mind may feel even busier than before. But this is not failure. It is a sign that you are beginning to truly see your own mind. And simply by sitting still and being patient, you have already begun the healing process. In today's American society, where life moves fast and pressure runs high, meditation is like a break. It allows you to pause, breathe, and regain clarity before being swept away. Many large companies in the United States, such as Google and Apple, have introduced meditation programs for employees because they found it boosts productivity, reduces stress, and nurtures creativity. You do not need elaborate tools to start meditating. You do not need temple bells or incense. All you need is a chair, a cushion, and your own breath. You can even practice while waiting for a bus, sitting on a plane, or during your lunch break at work. Each time you return to your breath, you pull yourself out of the spiral of overthinking, and gradually you realize something. Thoughts are just thoughts. They have no control over you unless you allow them to. Try it right now. Take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, then exhale slowly. As you breathe, let a gentle smile come to your face and recognize that you are alive, right here in this moment. That is meditation, and that is the path to finding calm in the middle of a busy life. The wonderful thing about meditation is that it not only calms the mind, but also changes the way you respond to life. In the past, when a problem arose, you might have reacted immediately with worry or anger. But after practicing meditation for some time, you begin to notice a small pause, a quiet space before you respond. And within that pause lies your freedom to choose a wiser response. Imagine being stuck in traffic on a California freeway. Normally, frustration might send your thoughts spinning. I am going to be late. Why are they driving so slowly? But if you are familiar with meditation, you can use that very moment to return to your breath. Instead of tightening with stress, you inhale deeply, exhale slowly, and remind yourself, I cannot control traffic, but I can control my reaction. A 2014 study from Oxford University found that regular meditation significantly reduced symptoms of anxiety and depression, with effects comparable to certain forms of therapy. This shows that meditation is not only a spiritual practice, but also a recognized method of mental healing. You can weave meditation naturally into daily life. In the morning, sit quietly for 5 minutes before starting your work. At midday, take 3 deep breaths instead of scrolling through your phone. In the evening, meditate briefly to release the worries of the day. When you maintain this habit, you will notice your mind no longer overthinks as much. What once kept you awake at night now feels like small ripples on the surface of the water. Ajahn Chah, the Thai meditation master, once said, "If you let the mind be still, you will see that it is already clear. Thoughts are just like dust passing through." And this is the essence. Meditation does not create peace from the outside. It helps you realize that peace has always been within you, simply waiting for you to stop and touch it. So why not begin today? Just 5 minutes. Turn off the screen, sit quietly, close your eyes, and breathe. You may be surprised to discover that what you have been searching for all along, stillness, calm, inner peace, has always been there, right inside you. We have journeyed together through 6 profound Buddhist lessons, from mindfulness, letting go of attachment, understanding karma, cultivating compassion, embracing impermanence, to meditation for a calm mind. Each lesson is like a key that opens the door to peace within. You do not need to apply them all at once. Begin with just one small step, maybe mindful breathing as you drink your morning coffee, or 5 minutes of meditation before going to bed. With even a single daily practice, you will notice overthinking gradually fading and stillness beginning to bloom in your heart. Modern life can be full of pressure and chaos, but you always carry the power to return to peace within yourself. The Buddha once taught, "The mind is the root of all things. When the mind is at peace, everything is at peace." And the journey toward that peace begins right here, in this very moment. If you found this video helpful, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you will not miss the next teachings on Buddhist wisdom and the path to inner peace. Before you go, I want to invite you to a small challenge. Choose one of the 6 lessons we explored today and practice it this week. Then come back and share your experience in the comments. Who knows, your story might inspire thousands of others who are also searching for peace.